Hi everyone, let's wait a few minutes so that everyone else can join as well. Hi everyone. Can you can someone please confirm if I'm audible?
Yeah, hi, you're audible.
Yeah, thank you. So welcome everyone to today's session. So before we get started, just an intro about myself, right? So Jacob here. So I have been in the data science and AI space for the past few years, and I started out my career as a forward deployed data scientist when a few years back when it was not really a buzzword like it is right now today, right? So I started out as a forward deployed data scientist. I have experience working closely with clients across India, Middle East, and Europe. Uh, Most of the work that I've done was kind of like I used to work directly with the clients or maybe embedded into the client location for a few months, uh, maybe to build out new AI ML solutions. So most of the work back then was ML based, but past 1.5, 2 years, a lot of Gen AI has also come up recently. So I do most of my experience also lies around the FMCG and retail business use cases. For example, like product recommendation or some kind of revenue forecasting or ML based generative AI, document processing, anything that you can think of in a retail domain, right? So that is where my background comes from, and technically, I do have the experience working on AI or ML based and also generative AI solutions, right? So that's a brief introduction, I think. Let me just share my screen. Just a second. So I think I'll take up your questions once we finish this intro session. Uh, do you have any questions before that, or can we get started with the introduction? So today it's nothing. It's just an introduction of what forward deployed AI engineering is. Why do AI projects fail? Why do we need forward deployed engineers? That's basically what we are gonna cover in the session, and I'm gonna walk through the course content, and I'm gonna take any questions that you have. Uh, so I think we'll get started.
Hello.
Yeah, go on.
Can you explain what is a forward deployed
Yeah,
engineering? What is it?
yeah. That's what I'm going to cover in the session. Yeah. I'll be covering this in this session,
Huh?
today's session. Yeah. So I think we can get started. So we'll dive into one of the most important and frankly one of the most in demand roles right now in technology that I've seen. Right, that's the forward deployed engineer. So we are going to break down exactly what this job is, why is it an absolute key to making AI work in the real world, and what it takes or what skills does it take to become one. Right. So I hope my screen is visible. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool. So in 2024, a study from MIT found that around 95% of the enterprise AI projects fail. So they fail to create any real value, any measurable business impact. So let's think about all the time, all the money, and all the incredible technology. We know all these awesome models, right? Large models with a 95% accuracy rate. So why does it happen? Why do most of the AI projects fail? You might think if it's the AI model, right? Is the AI model not good enough? Is the tech all just hype? Answer is no. The problem isn't the AI models themselves. It's really about what happens when these nice, amazing models leave the nice, clean lab and enter the real world, right? So, from my point of view, it's kind of like a great AI divide. The real issue is something. we can call the great AI divide. And honestly, this is the single biggest bottleneck that is holding back the entire industry from unlocking true potential of AI. Right. So, see, on one side, as you can see, we have these incredibly powerful Claude, OpenAI, powerful models, but they're trained in a clean, perfect, and a controlled environment. Right. On the other side, right, there's a complicated reality of an actual business. It can be old systems, weird data formats, complex ways people actually work. And that gap is really where a brilliant technology goes to fail, right? So in order to avoid this problem or fix this problem, a massive brand new role, the recently the demand for forward deployed engineers, as we know, has surged a lot. And this is the real reason why we need forward deployed engineers, right? When a model leaves the nice clean lab and reaches the messy business environment, we need someone to make it work. We don't want the project to fail. We don't want the product the project to lose traction or not being used by the company itself, right? A lot of AI projects that we might work on uh, ends up not being used uh, after maybe a few months is what I've seen, right? That is exactly what an AI engineer who has a business consulting track. So basically, an FTE or a forward deployed AI engineer is an applied AI engineer who also has a business consulting track, right? So we'll talk more about what this role is. So what is an FD? Well, think of them as expert engineers who are not just sitting back in the headquarters and building code. They are forward deployed right to the front lines. They are embedded directly with the customer to make sure complex software, especially AI, works well where it matters the most. So we talked about the great AI divide. So they are the essential bridge that closes this gap, and that is the reason currently the job role or the job opening for this particular role has surged a lot, right? I think uh, in the past few months, the scale or the amount of openings has gone up by some incredible number of amounts, right? So let's also see what's the difference between a forward deployed engineer and a software engineer, right? Uh, so an so a software engineer usually focuses on building the core product for everyone in a controlled, predictable environment. Uh, while an FDE, on the other hand, takes that core product and make it work in a specific customer's messy and unpredictable or live environment. Right? It's like the software developer maybe builds the toolbox, and the FDE is the one using that toolbox to build the finished house, right, in the client location. The toolbox that software engineer builds might be useless if we don't use it properly, right? If we don't use it the way it is intended to be used. So that is the main difference between a forward deployed engineer. Forward deployed engineer sits at the client location, lives with the client's messy environment, understands the business in a deeper way, and helps the customer embed the solution within their business. So yeah, uh, currently I can say that if these have a direct impact on the company's success. Uh, if I just spoke about the surge in the openings, right? Between 2025 January and September itself, I think the job openings has just shot up by around 800 percentage. Uh, the same, I think we have seen that in the US, we have seen that in India as well. A lot of SaaS companies are expanding their markets, or who wants to expand their market and their customer base. We can basically see that the uh, demand for this role in India has rised a lot, and even in the US, the compensation is a bit higher compared to other countries for this particular role. So Let me also, yeah. So that is basically about the uh, what an FDE is and what is the difference between an FDE and typical software engineer or a traditional software engineer, right? Basically, FDEs work with the real client environment, and that's the real difference, right? So even if I take in my case, when I was working in my previous role, there were data scientists, uh, but I was a forward deployed engineer, right? I was a forward deployed data scientist. So my role, or my experience of that role was a bit different than others sitting at my own office who are data scientists building from my own office. My experience was basically I used to go to the client location, understand their business, maybe their supply chain. I used to work with retail clients. So my main role was understanding their business, which is the dual track of what we see within FDE. They do have technical skills as well as a business consulting track and understand the business in a deeper way so that they can easily, I wouldn't use the word easily, but they get a deeper understanding of the business in order to implement any solutions that we build for the client. Now let's also talk about some of the skill sets or skill stack we might require to become a forward deployed AI engineer, right? I think I'm gonna talk about the course content a bit, uh, which is, yeah. So I'll walk through the course content as well. So first module is going to be, you know, a bit of theory. So what do FDs do in the real world? How do we break down a business problem into a technical problem? Uh, what are the trade-offs? You can't optimize for everything in a problem, right? So what are the trade-offs? What are the constraints? And how do we think of any problem like an input, processing, and output layer, right? Next thing is writing production ready Python code. I'm not going to cover everything from Python. I think uh, there is a playlist in Python that Isha Training has provided. So whoever wants to go into Python in a deeper way, I would really recommend going through the playlist that the training center has provided. It's going to be really helpful, whether if it is for this course or anywhere else. I think learning Python is going to be helpful. But uh, what I'm going to focus here in module two would be writing down some, how do you write code in production? How do you modularize your code or structuring your code, right? And also, I'll be talking about working with JSON and API, and we'll also talk about some error handling. Module 3 is going to be backend development with API. So why API? Why I included API is because after module 4, we are going to talk about,
Hello, sir. Hello.
yeah, yeah, yes,
Yes, sir. Yeah, this you are explaining this one because actually, kind of make it a kind of point. Actually, if you open that notepad, make it a little point. Actually, this is actually oral explanation is make a little very hard to understand. Actually, with technology wise.
uh, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I can able to see the screens. You can
Yeah,
can you able to open that notepad and write that content actually with the little points so that means easy to grab this one because the orally you are explaining vague actually large level of explanation that means so hard to understand this one.
yeah.
Can you please narrow down
I,
this a
I'll be
little bit
I'll be
actually? Yeah.
I'll be I'll be doing that. This is just an introduction, right? I just want to cover what is in the course, right? Uh, what are the course content? After that, I'll be doing that, right? I want to take up any. Good that you asked this question. Thank you for asking that. So once I cover this topic, or what is the course content, uh, today's session is all about taking your questions, answering any queries regarding the course, uh, and we'll move forward, right? So, like I said, module two is about writing production-ready Python code, right? I wouldn't say Python is the single most important thing, but Python currently, as we see, is important, right? In in an interview perspective, there can be Python coding rounds. There can be companies that doesn't do that as well. So uh, best to be prepared for both, right? So it's good to learn Python. In our session, we'll be talking about structuring small projects or separating logic, JSON handling, error handling, all these things, right? Now, backend development with API, we'll talk about what API is. We'll understand what a GET request is, what POST request is, what are the different methods in an API, how do we build API using Fast API. So Fast API is what we are going to be covering mostly in module 3. We'll also be seeing how we can design endpoints. Why API is important, I'll talk about that in the next module, right? So next thing is adding simple business logic without any AI. So let's not use any AI in the beginning, right? Let's understand how APIs work before we touch any, maybe OpenAI API or a Claude API. Before we do that, let's understand how API works and how do we handle, how do we handle errors and how can we test Fast API. So an use case that we are going to build here would be building a backend service with multiple endpoints. Moving forward, phase 2 of this course. So why I mostly spoke about uh, APIs or why we need to cover APIs is because in module 5, we will be calling LLM APIs, as you can see here. So before working with LLM or APIs of OpenAI or any model, once you understand how APIs work, I think it's going to be pretty simple for us to use any LLM's API key and call it in our backend to build apps, right? Uh, so module 4 is about data flow. Uh, so I'll be taking up everyone's question right after I cover one more slide, okay? So module 4 is about data flow. So how data moves through a system using a simple file storage and how we can connect it, how we can connect our backend logic with data. Consider we have some external data, maybe it could be an Excel, it could be a PDF. So how this data flows in a system. Module 5 is the core module, I would say, for the course. We'll be talking about LLM APIs for real world tasks, and we'll be talking about prompt engineering, how to write good prompts, what are the different prompting techniques, uh, how can we handle variability in output, and what are some failure cases, what happens if your AI model fails, right? And that's really important, and how we can handle failures. Now, practical evaluation approach, how do we evaluate our model? And we'll also talk about when we would use machine learning versus a large language model. There are two use cases that I've planned for this particular module. One would be an email routing automation. Uh, Another would be a multimodal AI application. So multimodal, what does multimodal mean? Multimodal AI means the AI will be able to handle text as well as images, right? Need not just be images, but along with text, it will be able to handle other data formats as well. So in our case, we'll be doing a use case where it can handle text as well as images. Module 6, you all might have heard about RAG. Uh, RAG is basically retrieval augmented generation. So how we can connect an external data source or an external data with your LLM, right? What are the different techniques to retrieve the right context for your LLM, and what is the importance of the right context. And similarly here also we are going to see some failure cases and limitations. We do have a use case here. We will be building a or a chatbot, basically a QA chatbot in this particular module. Module 7 is about agents. You all might have heard about AI agents. We'll be talking about how it's different from an LLM, what are tools, uh, what are deep research. We'll be building a deep research agent in this particular module as a use case. Uh, we'll be designing AI agents for doing particular tasks in this particular module. Finally, it's about these topics uh, like module 9 about Docker. Module 8 is going to be UI integration. Why UI integration is important? I would say UI completes our product, right? So when we are building or prototyping anything with the client, we can't just build the backend and give it to the client. So we'll be learning a simple UI where UI interface for whatever we have learned in these three modules, right? We'll be building a simple UI for whatever we have learned in module 5, 6, and 7, so that we have the so that we can have an understanding of how an end-to-end product works, right? So here we'll build a complete front end for the AI application developed throughout the course. Finally, we'll talk about Docker. I think Docker, mm, Docker is also a really important part when it comes to the deployment aspect. So we'll talk a bit about Docker as well. So that's basically about the course content. Finally, we will also have a capstone project where, based on whatever we have learned in module 5, I'll let you guys pick one topic. Maybe it can be an LLM, it can be a RAG, or it can be an agentic AI project, or maybe a combination of all these, where, I'll give a set of problems to solve from, right? And we design the system and build an end-to-end application and finally present the work. So that's basically the entire course. I think, please let me know if you have any questions on the course content, any doubts, any questions. Happy to take that on the time we have left.
Hey, Jacob, this is Shailesh. Couple
Yeah,
questions. You can hear me, right? All right.
yeah, I can hear you. Please, please. Yeah,
So you said, the job of the FD is like, you were when you were working, you had this in a team of scientists to create the
correct.
model.
Right,
So
right, right.
basically, they are creating models, and you
Uh,
based on the
no,
problem, right? Or you were
no,
part of
no, no, no. That's not what I meant. So the main difference is, I would say, a data scientist working, from my experience, most of the data scientists, right? So they used to work from my office. The main difference I would see in them versus
it. Hmm.
me and other FTEs would be the business understanding. It doesn't mean we
Hmm.
don't build the models. You know, when it comes to the solutioning aspect, right? When you're starting out a project, right?
Hmm.
With the same client that I'm working for, even if these data scientists are building a solution, an FDE would actually interfere here, right? So my advantage here was I understood the business in a better way because I was working with the client mostly.
Okay.
It doesn't mean they are the only ones who are building the solutions. There are some projects that the data scientists can build, but there are long-term projects that mostly is assigned to was assigned to the FDs in my company, right? And that's the project that I was working on. So
Okay, so you're kind of a liaison between the you business
correct,
and
correct.
the data scientist.
So I would give you an example, right? So with the same retail client, uh, there was one use case that was assigned to the data science team. So
Mhm.
they were working on a route optimization. You might know how,
Right.
maybe Swiggy or Zomato, how the routes are
Hmm.
optimized for the optimal path, right? So
Hmm.
this is a non-problem. This is not specific to a particular business, and this is something the data science team was working on,
Hmm.
right? From an FD standpoint, something like a product recommendation or a forecasting requires understanding the business in a deeper level, right? Or something,
Hmm.
any AI workflow automation and these kind of projects where what the FDE team was assigned to, where we need to work with the business, we need to talk to the stakeholders, gather the requirement, gather the feedback. For example, consider the product recommendation project, right? So when we were initially working on it, right, it was not really working. The product recommendation or the product that we recommended was not actually working for the business.
Hmm.
And in order to understand this, it would take a bit longer or much longer for the data science team to understand why this is happening. The reason it was happening might be because maybe, some of the products that we recommend might be sold by the competitor, or there might be some pricing issues. All these business understanding or this core logic, or the core business understanding is what makes the FDE different from the data scientist, I would say.
So then the FD needs to have the domain knowledge, or it's
FDE needs to have the domain knowledge as well as understand the business in a deeper way compared to a data scientist or an AI engineer, I would say. It's a dual
okay.
track. Consider it like you
Right,
you have all these skill sets, right? You know
right.
what a data scientist knows.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, you work very closely with the business. You talk to the stakeholders a lot, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
like you are their first point of contact. So any new project mostly goes through the FDE team, uh, building out POCs or building out some prototype for any new projects or prospects, right? Most of
Mm-hmm.
these mostly go through the FDE team.
Okay. And then
So,
the second, oh, sorry, go ahead.
so yeah, basically the initial POC, or I would say the demo or prototyping for new prospects as well. It's a really important for a consulting company for revenue generation, right? So most of
Mm-hmm.
these things uh, around the POC or prototyping used to happen with the FTs. The reason being, if there is a client or a new client that comes in and asks, maybe any question, data scientists will be able to understand that, but an FD would be able to understand the question or the query since they work mostly with the client in a deeper way.
Okay. The reason I was asking, like, is it like when I take this training, I can work with any uh, any company, like a retail business or whatever, or I have to stick to my domain knowledge that is going to help to close.
No, it doesn't have to be just a particular domain. So most of the company that I've worked for, we used to consult for retail companies. That is the reason I have a deeper
Okay.
understanding in the retail business. But that doesn't mean we can't work with other companies as well, right? It can be the
Mm-hmm.
medical or the healthcare domain as well. Only
Mm-hmm.
thing is understanding the business or a particular domain might take some time. Uh, to me, the retail domain, or understanding the supply chain or how a business works, it's a gradual process, right?
Right,
Understanding
right.
any domain is going to take some time. But technical skills are really important, I would say, whether it be
Okay.
from an interview standpoint. Technical skills are really important. Second, it's going to be the way we communicate things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
technical skills and communication absolutely important, along with uh, business
Right,
understanding or domain knowledge, I would say.
right. Yeah. I have a couple more questions, but I will give other people a chance to ask.
Yeah,
If,
I think
right.
we have time till 8:30, so I'll get back. Let's come back on your question. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Others, please, you can unmute anyone.
Hey, hi, this is Akshat.
Yeah, Akshat, go on.
So, see, I saw your all the like what is the stage of one to module wise one to
Yeah,
number. So I want to understand like what it is different with FD with AI engineer, because mostly Gen AI or Agentic AI is combination of this. But
correct.
yeah, so is any specific thing in this
Difference, yeah.
course? Yeah, in what
Yeah.
is the difference like that exactly?
So, what the main difference here would be, we will, so as an FD, one of the most important thing would be uh, building something that's, for the POC or the prototype, uh,
Mm-hmm.
before we start out a project,
Mm-hmm.
we would show a prototype or a POC to the client, right? So that phase is really important. That requires quality, speed, and it should be end to end. So consider this particular use case, right? Email routing automation, which is mostly used in the customer support, used by customer support teams, right? We are not just building a backend here, right? Once we reach module 8, you will have a end-to-end solution. You will have a full app along with the front end uh, for the backend solution that you have built.
Hmm.
Basically, what I focus on this course is building out an end-to-end project, not just one project, all the projects that we work on. By the time we reach module 8, since we are going to learn about how we can create UI using Streamlit,
Hmm.
all these projects are going to be relevant whether you are going to give interviews or for keeping it in your resume as well. It's going to be an end-to-end project.
So,
You will be able to, yeah, go
is
on.
there any cloud like integrations also there, like Foundry or
No,
something?
no, we are not talking about any cloud. So Foundry is basically an environment, right? So we are not
Okay.
covering any particular environment.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be talking about Docker though, how we can
Okay.
package your particular solution. And right after Docker comes your cloud, right? Whether it be Azure or
Yes,
GCP.
yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
those things will be different
Mm-hmm.
depending. Maybe in my company it's Azure, or in some other company it can be something else. So we are only covering until Docker.
So in this whatever project you is there. So
Yeah.
in that project is there what is like is architecture is there anything particular project
Architecture, I think I'll be talking about this one use case. I'll show a demo of this one use case in the coming
okay.
classes.
Okay.
So just to explain what this is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
consider you're working in a company where it has different departments, right? One
Okay.
can be the sales department, there can be some support department, or there can be different departments in a company, right? So when a new email comes in, uh, this particular email should be routed to the right department so
Okay.
that they can handle it. So that is basically this use case. We'll be doing it using an LLM. When a new email is going to come in uh, to our email box, the AI will classify, okay, this should go to sales department. Uh, so what we are avoiding here, consider, maybe a scale of, in a large scale company, consider a scale of maybe thousands of email coming in every day, right? And that is where this can make a real difference in terms of time saving, cost savings, revenue generation, right? We'll talk about this use case in detail, I think, in next section or this week itself. Multimodal AI use case, it's basically combining, multimodal basically means a LLM that is uh, able to handle both text and images. Coming to RAG, RAG is really important, I would say, in terms of how things work currently. A lot of projects in my company as well. We have a good emphasis on RAG. So we'll be using RAG. We'll understand what are the different steps included in RAG, and we'll be going through a use case as well, right? And for all these use cases, the main thing is we'll be building an end-to-end solution by the time we reach module 8. And agentic AI is also important. So you'll also understand what is the difference between AI agents and a large language model. What are tools, right? What makes an AI agent different from an LLM? So that is what I would say. The main difference would be we'll be able to build GenAI solutions end to end. You will not just have something sitting in the backend. You will have something like a full-fledged or an end-to-end app. Are you good, Akshant? Do you have any other questions? If not,
No, thank you.
yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Hey Jacob,
Uh,
Srini here.
yeah, hi, Srini. Hi.
Uh, I just have 3 to 4 queries actually.
No worries.
So
Yeah,
if
go on, go on.
someone coming from a altogether a different background,
All right.
uh, I don't say domain, but
Mm-hmm.
in the software engineering itself, not a developer, but let's consider if QA.
Understood.
How do you think those people need to approach this course? Like, how can they succeed after completing this course?
Uh, I would say, so do you have a background in coding? Not about
No,
Python, any other language?
no,
No, right?
yeah,
So I would say, when you're getting started, basically what I have done, I don't have a main emphasis on particularly heavy coding, right? Most of the Python code that I'll be using throughout the course is not going to be very complicated, right? For this particular
okay,
course. But that said, Python is important. If you're attending an interview, like I said before, there are companies that will have a Python round, right? They can have a live coding round. You might know how a live coding round works, right? They might give a particular question, tell you to open your IDE. They just want to test your coding skills, right? There are companies who do this, and there are companies who doesn't do this as well. So from my perspective, you have to be prepared for both. So Python would take you 1 week, I would say. To complete Python is not that difficult. I can provide you a structured guide to how you can learn Python fully. I'm just talking in terms of, if you want a role change or from an interview standpoint, right?
yeah,
I would still say Python is important, whether it be FDEs, data scientists, data engineers. Python is important. Another thing on how you should approach this is maybe it's always better or good, I would say, if you have some basic knowledge of how AI systems work, right? If you know classical ML a bit, right, before you jump into I wouldn't say before you jump into AI or generative AI, but it's always good to have the basic ML, classical ML knowledge and Python knowledge, I would say. So these are like the building blocks, right? Um,
oh,
you can get started with Python, uh, whether it be for this course or any other roles. I think Python is going to be really important. Uh, Reason being, most of the work, even though in this course I am not going very heavy on Python because all of you might be from different backgrounds, so I don't want to go very heavy on Python. You'll be able to understand these modules clearly. But when you go into an interview phase, right, you
yeah,
should be able to, maybe even if you are going to learn Python fully after this course or spend some time before the course or over the weekend, also you'll be able to understand Python. But uh, as FDs or AI engineers, you don't need to learn coding as much as software engineers do. What I've seen is, compared to their coding round for an AI engineer or an FDE, the coding round or the complexity would be some medium level questions. It's not very complex, uh, but you need a good understanding of how things work in, maybe if they ask you any question, or most of the coding round would be any random question. It won't be very random. If you practice a set of coding questions, you will be able to crack it. This is just for an interview phase. Coming to the core concepts, interview questions might revolve around mostly RAG, or they might give you a scenario based question or scenario based use case and how you approach a particular problem, what tech stack you use, right? A lot of these things will be covered in the course.
sure. Thank you for the detailed explanation. So, an extension to that,
Yeah.
my previous question. So, would you be guiding us, like people who doesn't have any coding background or any knowledge of ML or
So
DL or
yeah.
RL
So yeah.
with the job search or after completing the course, like how to approach, because this is altogether a new domain uh,
Right.
that we are going to step in. So
Yeah.
the job search strategy should be completely different from the
Correct.
normal roles that we approach. For example, if you take a QA
Correct.
engineer, QA leader, QA manager, that will be a
Correct.
different approach. But as we are
Absolutely. Yeah.
taking it for the first time, and we need to step into strategize accordingly so that we can succeed in the job interviews and get
Right.
an
So
opportunity to connect the
yeah. So first thing about the job aspects, I would be sharing my experience of attending interviews and how, there are a lot of my colleagues who work in different companies and as well. So I'll be sharing with you whatever I know within my space on how the current market is, right? So, I can just tell you even now, uh, there is a there is a friend of mine who works at IBM. So what happens with FDs at IBM? You might not see a lot of openings at IBM currently for FDs, right? The reason
Yep.
for that is IBM is trying to hire, not hire basically. IBM is trying to transition their own AI engineers and software engineers into FDs currently. Once this process is done, they will start hiring FDs externally, right? They'll be putting out job postings on their website, LinkedIn. They'll be doing that in the coming months, is what I expect. The interview aspect, I'm going to share what all I know with you. By the end of the course, we'll have some 2, 3 sessions, maybe a few sessions on that as well. Uh, what was the other question again?
No, you answered my question. Like, would you be help us? I mean,
Yeah.
helping us
So I
strategizing the
do
job
have a
search?
knowledge on a few companies in my circle, how the FD stuffs work within their organization. So I'll be sharing you that knowledge as well, but that doesn't mean that's the only companies that we should focus on. So there are a lot of companies right now hiring. If you are getting started into this role, we'll discuss all this as well in the we'll have a few sessions by the end of the course on how you can approach this, the interview process, or possibly how, or what are the companies maybe you can focus on as well. We can have a discussion around this as well, or technically what you need to learn, right? Apart from, I can also provide some guide on what or how you need to approach to learn Python fully, or if you want to go deeper into machine learning, the backend algorithm, right? Like the classical ML algorithms, that's always good to know. I'll be providing a guide on how you can learn classical ML as well.
Sure, thank you. Would you be providing any additional resources around, uh, I know you stopped at Python and classical ML, but
Correct.
to understand the background, we definitely need DL
Correct.
and also RL, which is reinforcement learning,
Yeah,
or neural networks for that matter. So,
right.
I know it is not great to expect everything in single go because
No, but no worries, but I understand. But I would be providing you resources or guides on how you can approach this, right? So even if we are not going to cover the entire ML or neural networks on this, you'll be getting
yeah,
a guide on how you will be able to cover it if you spend time on it.
yeah, sure. That would help us learn. I mean, get
Yeah,
us into the environment, right? So
correct, correct.
without that knowledge, being an FDE will not help. How the deep learning models work and
So
reinforcement learning
uh
works.
so no, see, one more thing I would like to add is reinforcement learning and all. uh you need a basic understanding, not a very deep understanding, I would say. So
No, I'm only talking
uh
about basic.
with neural networks, deep learning, it is important. But when it comes to an interview, most of the interview questions, mostly revolve around RAG or agentic AI or LLMs. Mostly, most of the questions come around the evaluation, or how do you handle failures? How do you evaluate your model? How do you evaluate your RAG pipeline? Most of the questions that I see come from these topics. But there are companies, right? Like you said, there are companies that ask about classical ML as well. There are companies that ask about neural networks. There are even companies that ask about reinforcement learning. But I don't think for an FD they would expect you to know reinforcement learning end to end. But there can be companies that do that as well. So better prepared for all of them. Yeah. So like you said, it's good to know all of them.
Yeah, definitely. See, we
Yeah.
can't expect
Yeah.
the same type of interview experience from IBM when compared to
Yeah.
Google, right? I didn't
Correct,
expect
correct.
Google to hire FDs because what they do is they train internally and push them
Yeah,
to the new role. But
yeah.
to my surprise, I started Google.
No,
I
yeah.
mean, I didn't expect that kind of force for hiring
Correct, correct, correct,
FD externally. So
correct.
they started. I think almost 20 or 30 new hires have been made in Google
Understood. Uh-huh.
as FDs, as
Right,
per my
right,
knowledge.
right.
Yeah. My next question is, I'm sorry for taking turn. This would be the last question.
Yeah.
Do you see this FD as a business analyst role transforming into an FD with an inclination towards more technical background than from the business background?
More
Rephrase.
technical. Can you go? Can you repeat your question again?
I'll rephrase the question. Do
Yeah.
you see this FD role
Mm-hmm.
as a business analyst role transforming towards
No, not
more
really,
technical
not
role
really.
instead of being business?
I wouldn't say a business analyst role. I would see if there is a best role, consider someone not from an FD, who's not an FD. If there is
Mhm.
someone who can transition, so mostly what I am covering is forward deployed AI engineers, right? If
Yep.
you the best previous role for forward deployed AI engineer is going to be an AI engineer itself. So most of the like you said, the Google hires or uh, uh, one company that I uh, really like is Databricks. So what they do is uh, hire AI engineers basically. Since the FDs are less in the market, if you have an FD experience in your resume, I think the best company to get shortlisted right now would be Databricks. Databricks is hiring a lot. So I would say it won't be a business analyst transitioning into FD. I would say maybe a data scientist or an AI engineer transitioning into an FD.
Okay, got it. No, no, no. I was just talking from the traditional roles perspective from the software engineering. So no, that's okay. I got the crux. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Others, please go on with your question.
Yeah. Yeah, again, this is Shailesh. So in the first slide, you showed, the typical good data versus because you are in testing mode and then
Eh,
bad production, right? But
Right.
nowadays, but the best practice is, typically we make three sets, right? Training mode, for training versus validation versus test. So how I mean, and plus, most of the people now they don't want to train their model to spend money and all those things. There are so many models available. So
Yeah.
how do you see that changing in the world?
Uh,
Because now the models are already trained and they're just now using their.
See, even though the models are trained, right? So if I just go back to this particular module called RAG, right? What we are going to learn, or what an FD, not just an FD, what an AI applied AI engineer or an FD is going to do with RAG is we might have the most powerful model, the latest
Mhm,
GPT model, the latest Claude model, right? But
mhm,
consider you have thousands of documents, right?
mhm,
How would
mhm,
you, how would you, so that, there is something called context length, right?
mhm.
There is only enough context that you can provide to an LLM. You
Right.
cannot provide all the 1,000 or 10,000 documents to an LLM. RAG
Mhm,
is about retrieving the right information. Consider you are asking something, you know, just a simple example, right?
mhm,
What is the notice period of employees
mhm,
of this particular, or what is the notice period of interns, right? This
mhm,
information will be stored maybe in one of 10,000 documents,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
You don't want to
mhm,
stuff in all the 10,000 documents into an LLM, but you only want the particular line where it says the notice period for interns is 60 days or 30 days, right? You only want that for your LLM to see. So how do you do that? How do you retrieve the right context, right? Even though, yeah, the models might be powerful, that's what I think. Why do most AI projects fail? The reason being, why adoption fails is the reason for that is the integration part, uh,
okay.
is what I would say. There might be different data formats. A lot of these, even though the data or the model will be extremely powerful, the way data works in a real world or how messy it is in the real world is what makes the difference. And that is where the FDE comes in, does the cleaning part, integrates different parts with AI, is what I would say. So, see, what I am covering in this course is for the role of a forward deployed AI engineer. There can be forward deployed engineers, there are few companies that hire forward deployed engineers who has a background in software engineering as well. But that is different from this course. Most of the forward deployed engineering job roles, as I've seen, has a focus on AI engineering, right? The
Yeah.
job role is still evolving, right? Most of
Yeah.
the companies are still figuring out what to put, what name to put for this role.
Yeah.
But what I
Yeah.
have seen mostly is forward deployed AI engineers. Maybe if you can just go to Databricks, I think Databricks is what I would say currently doing the best in the FD field.
I agree.
You can see
Yeah.
the job roles of forward deployed AI engineers, managers. Most of them uh, has a focus on
Yeah.
LLMs, RAG, multi-agent systems, all these. If you go through the JD,
So from the project perspective, you said you were going to go through the email and then classifying the email. Are
correct.
we going to do a project something like, have a document and then like
Have a
LLM, like have a like a doc. You said you just give the example of documents. Say there are thousands of documents.
correct,
Of
correct,
course, we
correct.
don't have thousand, but are you going to take that project
Yes,
or okay?
yes, we will be talking about RAG. In RAG, we will be using a document and I will be showing you how you can retrieve relevant pieces from a document, right? Consider there is a
Okay.
document that contains HR policy.
Right. Okay.
How do
Yeah.
you extract a particular line based on the question, right?
Okay.
Based on your question, how do you extract something relevant
Hmm.
and then generate the final output?
Okay. Perfect.
So what is the
Yeah.
importance of context, right?
Hmm.
If you provide the right context to LLM, it will give you better answer,
Right.
right? For example, if you go to OpenAI or ChatGPT, just chat interface,
Right.
right? If you tell to, give you a diet plan, right? Consider, just an example. If you're telling
Right.
it to give you a diet plan, it will give you a diet plan. Maybe it would include some veg, non-veg, all these things, and give you a diet plan. But if you
Hmm.
give context, right, you are a vegetarian. It would only
Hmm.
give you, the diet plan
Hmm.
as if you are a vegetarian. It won't include any non-veg. So it is having the right context, right?
Hmm.
Here the
Hmm.
context is that you are vegetarian.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it would give you irrelevant answers, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
retrieving the right context is what we are going to focus on with documents and RAG.
Hmm.
Uh, with AI agents, we'll be building deep research agents and see how it is different from LLMs and take it up from there.
Okay. And the last question is, are we just doing the like a single agent, or are we going to get a test of agentic AI where you know how to do the orchestration of different?
Orchestration, we can cover a few orchestration techniques as well. We can go through any of the frameworks, have a basic understanding of how different agents talk to each other, what
Right.
is happening. We'll cover that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, please. Let me answer your next question. Go on. Anyone?
So, Jacob, I just
Yeah,
wanted to check that will be provided training based on multiple projects where we'll be learning hands-on, right?
correct,
For
correct.
example, RAG, starting from the conceptualization, we are going to build the RAG system and
Yes.
implement it in using a virtual machine as well. Is my understanding
Virtual
correct?
virtual machine. I didn't get you. Why virtual machine?
Like,
So we'll be, yeah.
yeah, like so we usually host it using a VM, right? So,
No, we are
so every
going to run all the solutions locally, and I'm going to show you how you can Dockerize any solution that you have built. Hosting it in a cloud platform or a VM is not something we are covering as part of this course, but you are going to run the end-to-end application locally.
Okay, but we we may be required to learn that as well, right? Would it
Yes,
be covered
yes.
in later stages or another
So
session?
uh, that is not something as to be covering as part of this course. So once you create the Docker image, right, like with module 9, it can go to any cloud platform. It can be Azure, it can be GCP, AWS, right? So what I am covering as part of this course would be until Docker. After Docker, yes, like you said, the hosting part or the deployment part also comes. Uh, I can provide some guides on that if you're interested in that as well. But that's not something as I'm covering as the core part of this project. Like you said, with RAG, you'll be learning it from the basics, from the concepts until the implementation. We'll be building a QA chatbot basically with, we'll be giving a document as a knowledge source, and we'll ask the questions and retrieve the correct context and get the final output. That's one use case with RAG, since you mentioned RAG.
Okay, and the
Uh,
we'll be having a practical, a theoretical session, and then we'll be doing hands-on, or it
yes.
will be side by side.
So most of the prop modules from module 5, I would be asking you to go, set up VS Code locally. So after each topic, right, as we go on with each topic, we'll be doing the coding as well.
Okay, side by side, or it will be like assigned as an assignment or homework sort
No,
of a thing.
not homework. Most of the coding part I would cover here in the class as well, in the class itself. Most of the use
Okay,
cases, most of them, I would be covering it here itself. What I would, homework or take home would be the final part of it, right? Only the final part of it, where you will be building a project and presenting your work.
okay. So this is the only class session which we will have like in the morning itself, or there would be another option of
No,
like in the
my
evening.
session, no, my session is only in this time, 7:30. I mean, if you're in India, it's 7:30 a.m. to 8:30.
Yeah, because this is my traveling time to office. So I was just
Oh,
because
right.
earlier it was 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. something.
No, I think for this particular course, my timing constraints and office timings, I've just adjusted it to this particular time. Uh, so that is the reason it's only during this particular time at this particular moment. I think
Okay.
you can also reach out to whoever you're in contact with the training center regarding the timings. I think they'll provide a bit more details on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
Anyone else? Yeah,
My
please.
question, Jacob, my question is,
Yeah.
what is the scope of jobs of FDI in US market considering the current situations where the layoffs are happening? And second, supplementary, is the course content good enough to get into market with this knowledge?
So first question to answer that, US job market. Currently, I don't think I do have a really good. I don't think I have a very good understanding of the current market. I'm not in contact with a lot of people right now in the US market. So I think this is something I think I can get back to you uh, after I talk to some of them. But currently in the US job market, to be honest, I'm not someone. I don't really know what's happening there. Second thing, with the course content, right? See, again, like I said, the job role is still evolving. The interview processes is still different in a lot of different companies, right? What I have included as part of this course is what we see mostly, right? Most of the job openings or the job roles require these skills. That's what I have included in this course, right? What I have seen majority is what I have included in this course. But that said, there can be companies that might, just go into something like a basic Python, but Python is not something I'm covering fully as part of this course, but it's something that you can learn. All right, even if you do this course or later, you can still learn Python. Um, I can provide a guide on how you can move further from here as well. Like this alone would help you in some companies. Uh, but if you're considering, what I would, you know, from my point of view, you should be prepared, eventually for all the roles, right? You should be able to crack all the interviews, whether it be a small company, big company, mid-sized company. In order to do that, there are a few more topics or guides that I will provide where, what you can, further take from here, right? Uh, that is something I'll be providing, how you can move forward. If you want to learn an extension of what we are covering, or,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to learn some, there are some topics like mentioned earlier, right? DL or ML or neural nets. If you want to get a deeper understanding of it, I'll be providing you guides on that as well. Not as
And what
part
is
of this
duration of
course.
this
Yeah.
duration of this course? Duration in terms of weeks, months?
Weeks, months, I think it would take 1.5 month. It's 4 days a week. It's Monday to
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. Same time, 1 hour. Mostly max, I think in 1.5 month is what
Okay.
I assume. Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you.
sure. Yeah.
Uh, Hi, Jacob.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, hi. So I have a question that do you have any example who has got the job after this course?
No, we don't provide any placement or anything. I don't think that is part of this course. We don't provide any
Yeah, I
placement.
understand.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand you don't provide the placement, but do you have any contact details or contact numbers who has got the job after this course done?
I Not me, but you can reach out to uh, I think Venu or Kalpana, whoever you're in contact with. You can just ask them if they do. I'm not really sure about this part.
Okay. Another thing, uh, this job role
Yeah,
is comes in picture before the project start or after the project finish.
I didn't get you.
So, for example, this is generally a customer relation job, right?
Mm-hmm,
So, whenever your product is ready, you are going to a remote place on the customer place, and you are going to implement your product on the customer place, right?
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So this means this role comes in a picture after the
Mm-hmm.
project finished, means AI model finished, and
Nope.
they are going. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that. So the job role of an FDE starts from the requirement gathering, right? From the requirement gathering, the solution building, and finally deploying the solution as well, handing over the
Okay.
project. So it's not just, it doesn't come after you create the model. You are the one who create the model as well. You are the one who train the model as well.
Okay. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi,
Hi, hi.
Jacob.
Yeah, hi.
Rajesh here. The one quick question is that I'm of the assumption that most of the people are trying to sell themselves into as an FDA over here. So when you're dropping in your resume for the job hunt or anything, so
Yeah,
we have to sell ourselves through a project, right? And
correct, correct.
what sort of, I mean, yeah, given that we took the training and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
what sort of project can we sell ourselves through the resume? Uh, I understand that you would help us in these use cases, but
Correct.
would that be good enough to
So,
be?
so couple of things here, right? When you look at it from a job perspective, right? First thing is getting shortlisted, right? In order to
Yeah,
get
right.
shortlisted and AI shortlist your resume, that is where variety comes in. You have to keep as much as variety of keywords and projects that you can have in your resume. This is the first part of it, right? This is the shortlisting part or showcasing yourself in the resume. Second part is what I would be covering here is consider this particular use case, right? what I'll be covering in the class is how an LLM will be able to route a particular email to a particular department. But the interviewer might ask you a question, how did you implement this end to end, right? This is where Gmail integration might come in, right? You might have to take a secret key from Gmail, connect it with your backend, monitor your Gmail, right? That is where, you know, some extra questions like how did you handle maybe multiple or duplicate emails or something like that comes in, right? That is something, uh, I would say doing something end to end is what I would say makes the difference, as in terms of projects. Um, in this particular course, I'll be covering, how an LLM is going to do this classification and all that. I'll be providing you, by the time we reach the capstone project, what I'm expecting is building end-to-end project, right? If you can also take up in the end, you can take up the same use case with the Gmail integration, right? Only when you do that end to end, like consider you are building it for your customer itself and build it, you'll be able to handle edge case questions. He might ask you how will you handle duplicates, how will you, any different scenarios that you can think of, and that is what makes the difference, I would say. I mean, a simple question like how did you handle duplicates? The interviewer will get to understand what did you work on.
Sure, sure. And um, when uh, uh, once you get selected as an FDE,
Mm-hmm.
this role is completely a combination of understanding business as well as being on the technical front
Correct.
at the client place, right? So
Yeah.
whenever someone who's new, I mean, it's just out of curiosity, I'm just putting myself.
Yeah, yeah, please.
uh, yeah, so if you get selected and then is that you start your role right away, in terms of business, uh, prototyping things, or I heard that this role is mostly to deal with business, having technical expertise.
Mm-hmm.
So 70% of your daily work is to understand business and come up with a technical solution, or how much is implementation, or how much would you be, I mean, would you be with a team who understands, who deals with the technical solutions? I'm just generally
Yeah,
asking.
I got your question. So see,
Yeah, yeah.
it's different across different companies from, but I can talk to you about my experience, right? So since you asked, is 70% going to be about business understanding? Yes, in the initial phase, right? In the initial phase of a project, you will be talking to clients a lot. You will be on the solutioning part much lesser time than talking to the clients or understanding the business. But once you start, it's a project doesn't always revolve around the requirement gathering. Once we move forward, the 70% of the time is going to be spent in
No,
implementation.
no. Yeah, yeah. My other question over there is generally companies are composed. FD is a new role, and
Mm-hmm.
someone would be hopping into that role, and who's sitting with the business team and comes up with a technical solution. Now, when it comes to the implementation team, there is my assumption is that these companies would have technical backend teams also. So, how much would an FDE would be working uh,
Mm-hmm.
in the implementation, uh, given that he takes the business solutions, I mean, he takes the business ideas. I mean, he understands business, and then he's driving them into a technical solution. So they
Mm-hmm.
would be obviously a team, right? As in
There is, there
someone
is.
who's work. Yeah, yeah. That's my question. So there is
So see, from my, yeah, I got your question. So in my, like I said, there was a data science team in my company, but I was the one working as an FD. So what happened here is whenever uh, there is some specific part of the project, right? So if there is a specific technical problem that I feel that I would have to spend a lot of time on, the data science team used to, be handed over this particular piece of the entire project. You can think of, currently the role of an FD as an architect, right? You see the entire picture of the
right.
end-to-end project, but
Okay.
if there is a particular part of the project that is going to be time consuming, this is my experience, it would be transferred to the data science team, and they will get
Okay.
back to us with the particular part of the solution, right? We
Got
don't
it.
give the entire thing to the data science team. We will have a clear requirement and a clear expected output as well.
All right. Yeah. Got it. Thanks.
You also asked if the initial stage in my case was uh, just going to the client place. It was a retail client, just going there, talking to them, understanding the business. Technical skills, I knew uh, the basic technique. I mean, not just the basic, I knew technically what is required, but understanding the business is something that you get once you get into a particular domain.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
But the percentage of technical expertise is that I mean, I'm just start talking as in we are, we should understand it.
right.
Probably we should implement it, but then the whole entire picture of and the whole technical thing is not
Yes.
something we are not expected to know, but we should have
Uh,
an understanding.
I wouldn't say that you're expected to know that as well, but not maybe as of a job role currently, but at least in interview perspective, the questions can come from anywhere, right? Technical questions can come. Uh, all depends on the particular interviewer
Yeah.
or company.
Yeah. 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 Got it. Yep. Yep. Thanks.
Yeah, I think. Uh, I think we have gotten a bit late, but I'm open to taking any more questions. Please feel free to ask me any questions that you have. Did someone post a question? I'm not sure if I. Yeah, please go on if you have any question.
So I've got a quick question. So
Hi.
when is the course
Hello.
supposed to start?
Uh, Sorry, can you go again?
Yeah, I was asking when a class is to start because today was like an introduction.
So tomorrow what I'm going to cover would be, so module one is also kind of like an introduction, I would say. What do we do in a real world, right? How do we break business problems into technical problems? It's going to be a bit theoretical. We're not going into writing Python code. I don't want to do that in the first week at least. So I'm going to set a background in module one, right? So uh, that is where I think I would start the class. This week I would be mostly covering module one, and I think early next week we'll complete it and move to module two.
Okay. So how many classes per week?
4 days. So Monday to Thursday. 4 classes per
How many?
week.
Okay,
Hours,
how
1 hour.
many? Okay, 1 hour per class.
Yeah,
Okay, sounds good.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Today we are just I'm just taking all your questions, so it's okay to spend a bit more time. Someone else also was asking. Please go ahead with your question.
So in this classes that will you in the beginning will you showcase that how to analyze the business as well as where exactly as an FD you would determine that this workflow or the solution can be placed,
So uh, we will
because that is
be
a major role, right? Because
right. So
how, yeah.
we will be talking about a few use cases and how we can break it down, how a particular business problem can be turned into a technical problem. We'll be talking about that in the beginning of the course itself.
No, no, that is the ready-made that you have already.
Mm-hmm.
That is a part of the module, right? But
Yeah.
how to determine it?
How to determine it? Can you repeat your question again?
Determined in the sense, say, let's say that you've been approached to, let's say, one of the banking sector, or
Mm-hmm.
you are going to the some retail segment companies, right? Now,
Yeah.
how will you analyze as an FD that this is the company where these are the processes that these guys are following, and
Mm-hmm.
I could do something as a FD and suggest them that this can be automated, right?
Correct. Correct.
With the AI. So then,
Correct.
so what are the things that as an FD needs to be go through, and what kind of right questions can be asked right? So there should be some kind of a framework, right, for that.
Correct. So we will be talking about some uh, example use cases here, right? So frameworks or the way we think about breaking down a problem, we'll be talking it through these examples. You talked about maybe working with a particular client, right? So I am mostly going to talk about maybe retail is what my background is. So I'll be mostly talking about retail
Hmm.
domain mostly.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when you so the reason I put this email routing use case is because it was an actual use case that was scaled
Hmm.
that we worked on. So consider that there was this customer support team that
Hmm.
used to handle a lot of messages from the customer, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
but there were inefficiencies in the workflow. That
Hmm.
is where we came with the ideation or uh, the particular project where where you can route it to the particular customer. You there we don't need a person who sits and reads all these emails and then forwards it to
Hmm.
another
Hmm.
department,
Hmm.
right? We don't want to do
Hmm.
that. That's an inefficiency. The person can focus on maybe some other role or some other work.
Hmm.
We don't
Hmm.
want. So the main idea is with AI, what you are going to solve is something that is repeatable, right? Looking at
Agreed.
emails
Agreed.
and sending it to a particular department is a repeated process. This is
Hmm.
something we could automate, and that is something we gradually understand once we understand how the business works, right? So when we went there, what we could find this inefficiency not at the beginning, but that's something we gradually learn as we communicate with the business. Uh, a lot of these use cases that we go through, we'll talk about how or what. Even the second use case that I've put in here, this was also an actual use case that I've worked on. I'll give you a
Hmm.
background on how or why we did this use case, right? Why we came
Hmm.
up with this use case in the first place. We'll talk
Hmm.
about all
Hmm.
that.
Okay. And will it also, you will also showcase that how to scale it, the solution to the enterprise grade kind of?
Correct. So, we might not be able to fully do it in the class. So, for example, in this particular email routing use case, right? I'll be talking about how
Hmm.
an LLM can classify a particular email, right?
Hmm.
But when it
Hmm.
comes to an interview or something, like I said before, when you would need to do it end to end, you need to have a Gmail integration, right? You
Correct.
need to
Correct.
connect it with your Gmail, monitor your inbox. So once it is read,
Yeah.
right? Once your email is read, you should mark it as read. You don't want to process it again. All these
Yeah. Yeah.
comes
That
as part
maybe
of
MCP or
yeah.
whatever way, right?
That
Yes.
is where the scaling part comes in. So initially, yeah, for the POC and all, maybe we just showcase the business. Yeah, with the LLM
Correct.
you can do this. But later when we scale it, um, there are
Correct.
different things that you will have to connect. So we'll be talking about that in or any of the questions or anything you have. The scaling
Hmm.
part is important. Um, Initially, the POC part is also important, right? So the
Yeah.
prototyping, scaling, we'll be talking about all these things. But the
All
scaling part, I won't be covering the Gmail integration part in the course. That is something I would provide you a guide on how you can explore this.
all right. No problem. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
So any specific LLM are we going to use? Okay.
Oh, mostly we are going to work with the particular, just one particular, it's going to be OpenAI. So by the time
Okay.
we reach
Okay.
module 5,
Mm.
I will ask all of you to buy some credits, $5 something on the
Okay.
OpenAI API.
Okay.
If you have it already, great.
Okay.
Uh, Basic idea is whether it be OpenAI, Gemini, Claude,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. No, I
things
just
remain
want
the
to
same.
question
Yeah.
because that was my next question. Do we need to have a subscription and then how it's going to work and all? So,
You
but
need to
you
have a
already are.
subscription. Yeah. Yeah. On
Thanks.
OpenAI for this particular course. Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to keep it, same for everyone. So
All right.
only maybe a few lines of code changes if you use Gemini. It's not that different. Yeah.
Thank you.
So how many batches you have already trained on this course?
Previously, there were 2 batches in this particular institute for this particular course.
Okay, so around means 4 batches you already trained on
No,
this
not
institute.
four, two,
Two
not
of them.
four.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So any success stories from those batches? Did anybody share with you guys, like from the job perspective?
From the job perspective, I was not in contact with any of the students, but there were a few students who were giving interviews, reaching out to me. I only have a knowledge about them, but I think you can also get to the institute whoever you are in contact with.
Okay.
There are some, but I'm not in a position where I can tell you exactly who or what it was. I think whoever you are in contact with the institute can provide you better info on this.
Okay.
Hello, Jacob. Thank you. Thanks for this demo. Uh,
Yeah.
so I see a lot of enthusiasm for joining this course, and since it's relatively new and hot in the market,
Right.
but do you guys have a cap on how many number of students you enroll for a batch? Because given the course runs for 1.5 months and 1 hour in a day, you have seen, right? So you had a lot of questions to shoot and all that. The
Yeah.
learning window is also very short. So do you have any maximum limit for number of students? Because I see, based on my experience, the more number of students,
I
the lack of.
don't think there will be more than uh, in a batch. I don't think this particular batch is going to have more than 20 students or anything. I don't think that is going to be the case. But depending on the number of students, if it's going to be more also, see, it's not a particular time that I've fixed, but I just gave an I mean approximate number of months. I mean approximate timeline as 1.5 months. Uh, since like you mentioned about the question, this is the first few session, right? So first few session is going to be I have to answer each of the students, right? But as we move forward, as we get into the modules, we will have QA sessions. So whoever has questions will stay in that particular QA session and get the clarification. Uh, but as part of the course, 1.5 month is what I expect it to complete. But like you said, yeah, we will have particular QA sessions for answering everyone's questions. It won't be during the class or during the hours.
Okay, thank you.
Or we will, most of the class, the last 10 minutes, I would spend on taking a few questions, but a dedicated QA session, we will also have a dedicated QA session on that.
Great. Yeah, thank you.
So all the recordings for the course will be available for us to, if we want to refer back.
Yes. You will get all the recordings. I think they will upload it in some YouTube playlist, and if you give your email, they are going to add you to that playlist. Only if you log in with that particular email, you will be able to see the recording. I think all that will be provided.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Sure, no worries. That's hope we'll talk more tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tomorrow mostly I'll cover some introduction only. So module 1 this week, I'm only gonna cover FDE theory. Hope it won't be boring, but it's also important, right? I can see a
Yeah,
few more people
yeah,
here
hi.
in the
Yeah, I
hi.
was asking, currently I'm working as a product manager actually. I have a background of, BTech plus MBA.
All right,
I wanted to transition into AI product management. So,
understood.
because that is one of the roles in product management which is growing rapidly since the
Understood.
last year when the FD came into the picture.
Understood.
I was asking, what are the tools? Because obviously, in the job description of AI product management, they already write a line that need to have a good knowledge about the AI infrastructure and
Mm-hmm.
deep knowledge regarding machine learning and the
Mm-hmm.
and other LLM modules. So,
All right.
what are the what is it only OpenAI that as
Mm,
an LLM you will be teaching as the base, or it can be also Claude or like Claude Opus or any other LLM that will be
so yeah,
uh,
so what I would be covering is OpenAI in the
mhm.
class, right? But the only difference is the API, maybe 2 or 3 lines of code. If you want to use Gemini or Claude, the
Okay.
only difference is going to be 2 or 3 lines of code. But in the class, I won't be covering Gemini or Claude. I don't think all of them are going to have these subscriptions for all three,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah.
the from all the three companies. So, gen something general. Most of the people I think would use OpenAI or ChatGPT or might have used in the past as well. That's why, but it's not very different. The difference is in how powerful the model is, right?
Okay.
So I can use a GPT-4 and a GPT-5, right, in OpenAI. And it's the performance is obviously gonna be different, right? I'm gonna get better responses, better accuracy with GPT-5 or
Hmm.
the latest Claude models. The difference is in how powerful the model is. The main difference is not in how we build the solution or the architecture, or maybe only in the accuracy part, right? Uh, how powerful the model is and how it handles different tasks.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Got it.
But the core
Okay.
logic remains the same. Whether I'm teaching RAG, right? The core
Mhm.
logic, whether it be any providers, any company providers that these AI providers, it's going to remain the same.
For RAG, it will be like Llama index or something like that, or
No,
we will be.
we
Okay.
will be learning it from scratch, like without any packages, we will be going through the RAG pipeline. With packages, I think it's a bit more easier, but
Mhm.
what we do is we'll go through breaking down each steps, right? The retrieval process, the similarity matching process. We'll talk about all that. We'll implement that in Python. We'll break it down, try to do it without any packages, right? That's when you get the entire picture and understanding.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay. And what are the other tools apart from, uh, like what are the foundation level tools that needed to be understood currently in the industry right now, in the, in the recruitment processes, whether it's product management or FDs right now?
Uh, with an FDE or an applied AI engineer, I would say one most important tool right now, right? It's going to be starting with Python, right? Uh,
Okay.
Python, the basic or classical ML knowledge, the deep learning basics, and all these topics that I'm covering here, whether it be working with LLMs. So questions can come from, writing the good prompts, prompt engineering, evaluation techniques. How would you evaluate your models, right? Most of the question that uh, you know, I've seen or faced would be, any use case that I've built. Once I start explaining the use case, the question from the interviewer will be, how do you evaluate your particular model, right? How did you do the evaluation? That is really
Mhm.
important with with any module, whether it be RAG or agents or classical ML or deep learning. Evaluation part is really important. That's what most interviewers I think are interested in. Not all, most. Yeah.
Okay. And vibe coding will also be a part of this, or
Vibe
it is
coding won't be a core part of this. What we are going to focus on most of the modules is the core logic or the core concepts itself.
okay.
Vibe coding, I mean, the reason being, in an interview perspective, things are changing, but even though all these changes, currently the interview process is pretty much standard. I would say we can't use any AI or LLMs for the interview processes as of now. Uh,
Mhm.
so understanding the core logic or the core concepts are still really important.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
It can change. Currently, it is in this stage, but it's still evolving. Let's see
Okay.
what do we have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions, please? You can ask me. Others,
Ja-
if you don't have any
Jacob,
questions, you can. Yeah.
this is Sudhakar. So, how we are going to cover the LoRa and fine tuning also in these modules?
Not LLM fine-tuning is not part of this course. But if you are keen on having that, I can provide you some sources on how you can go further, after the course.
Okay. And what is the difference, main difference regarding the job description, FDE versus the agentic AI engineer? Both have the same job roles, right?
It's interchangeable. Only difference is an FD would, at least from a job or day-to-day perspective, you might be working with a particular client for say 6 months or few months. An agentic AI engineer might, from a job perspective, sitting in his own office every day, building code, building agents. But an FD is expected to work very closely with the client compared to an agentic AI engineer, and this skill set might be a bit different.
Okay.
Let's take off agentic AI engineer. Maybe if you consider an applied AI engineer itself, I think an applied AI engineer is what stands very close to a forward deployed AI engineer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna stay here for a few more minutes. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot your questions. If not, you can feel free to leave the class. I'll see you all tomorrow as well. So I'll be here a few more minutes. Please feel free if you have any questions.
The classes will start from tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it will start from tomorrow.
Okay, the same time, 7:30 to 8:30.
7:30 to 8:30, yeah. So today, basically, it's gone a bit far. Reason being, it's the first class. I need to take all your questions. Right. So that is the reason it's 9 now. So yeah.
Thank you so much. This is the same meeting ID, or every day it's going to be
I think it's
different?
going to be the same meeting ID itself. Let me just confirm. Just a second. Yeah, it's gonna be the same meeting ID.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Jacob. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
What's the last name you said? Jacob.
Sorry?
What is your last name you said? I just got your
Anil
first.
Jacob. Anil Jacob. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jacob,
Thanks.
one quick question. So still,
Yeah.
I'm not able to figure it out how a AI engineer is different from the FD. Because if you think about the AI software engineer, he develops the UI, he controls the flow, and then he gets the
Yeah.
result fine tuned. So yeah, I mean, how do we, can differentiate between the AI engineer, the AI software engineer versus the FD?
Yeah. Just a second. So uh, the job role of an FD is still evolving, right? So an FD is someone who will be embedded within a client organization to help customizable solutions, right? So
But even
most
the
of it
software
would
engineer does the same thing because we sit at the client's place and then we understand the requirement, we build the proof of concept, we go through the iterations, and then yeah, similar. I mean, both are doing the same things, right?
currently yes, in a lot of companies, but the reason I think a lot of companies hire FDs is to embed AI within their solutions or implement or enable AI for their clients, right? If you go into the background, FD was, I think, started by this company called Palantir, who used to send engineers to government locations to work on secure sites. Uh,
Okay.
the main difference, I would say, currently, like I said, it's still evolving. Uh, so this is something I read from a post in Andrew Ng. If you know Andrew Ng, the founder of deep learning AI,
Right.
Coursera and all. So he had a post in LinkedIn a few months back, I think. So what he said is, in addition to having good technical skills, they will have some business skills and communication skills in, in addition to what a typical uh, uh, software engineer or a
Yeah.
traditional
May,
engineer
may,
would do.
yeah, yeah. Maybe what I understood from your words is that so the software engineer may not face the customer, so you will be behind the scene
May
in.
not, may not.
Yeah,
Also, most of it is to enable AI workflows or, taking LLM off the shelf and building it in a custom workflow.
right. I think yeah, the FD is like more customer facing, and then also the
Correct,
liaison between the software engineers, and then
correct,
also
correct,
we'll also build and implement this. Yeah, I
correct,
got it.
correct, correct, correct. Also, he has just wanted to call it out, right? So he has also mentioned the typical AI engineer roles, the jobs or the number of roles will be still larger, is what he's saying. Uh, but at the same time, currently, uh, a lot, very less FDs are in the market, and all these companies are trying to hire them.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I think I can share
It's,
that post as well.
right.
It's
I
going
think
to
it's a
be helpful.
combination of business into a business analyst plus the developer plus the
Correct,
customer.
correct, correct.
Okay.
It's a
Okay. Thanks.
combination of a business consultant and an applied AI engineer. I think that's the best way I would describe it.
Right. Yeah. No. No. You're right. And plus the
Yeah.
customer face.
Yeah. Also, if you look out into future, right, there can be AI FDs. There can also be some LLM ops engineer, evals engineer. This is what he's predicting. Andrew NG, he's from his post.
Okay.
He's predicting there are going to be all these different roles, but let's see what's going to happen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Jacob, I have another question. Like, how you will learn all this one?
I didn't get you. How you will
Like,
learn all this? Yeah.
like from starting from your career, like there are a lot of things are going on, right? From
Correct.
ordinary application development to the now it's like a AI, right?
Correct.
So how about your did you started your
So in
career with
my
AI?
Yeah, so in my case, yes, most of my work has been started around data science. So it was the
Okay,
classical ML, and most of it, in my first job, most of it was working just sitting at the client location, talking to the client. It was not very interesting in the beginning, but that's how I think the first few months would go on uh, with the uh, client or the role. So lucky enough, at that point, I didn't think I was not very happy being an FT because it was at a time when FD was not really very popular. At that point, I really wished I was a part of the data science team because I didn't have to talk to the customer if I am part of the data science team. I didn't have to go behind or get the entire view, talk to the customer, handle new prospects. But in a long term, that is what I think stood out between or the difference that's made me stood out, right? I was able to talk to a new prospect. I was able to talk to a new client. I was able to build POCs. All this because of that initial the initial phase, I would say any job role, it's going to be a bit challenging. But once we tackle
yes.
that, I think, yeah, yeah, it's going to be long term. It's going to be, we'll see the results.
Okay, thank you. And so for your daily job duties, are you documenting everything or like you are working as a business analyst also, right?
Correct. So my daily job role mostly involves around AI workflows currently. Most of the work I am doing currently, I think classical ML, it's very less right now. Most of the work would be around current, some of the projects that I'm working on in my company is around RAG, knowledge sources, thousands of documents. How do we put all these together? Problem is not thousands of documents. Problem is the data format, right? How do we handle
Okay,
different data format? But these are
okay,
all business specific or use case specific.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If we don't have any other questions, please feel free to drop off. I'm gonna stay here for 5 more minutes and drop off as well. So thank you, everyone. I think I'll see you all in the next session.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Jacob.
Jacob. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.